What's up guys, BrunsNick's back, and I'm going to talk about loft. Now I'm going to talk about the loft that's actually on the lane, not your lack of talent. If you've seen in many of my videos, I incorporate loft into my game. Some days I loft it more, some days not. What does loft actually do for you, and how can you incorporate it and make your ball reaction better in certain situations? We're going to talk about all that. We're going to have SPECTO running, of course. But before we get to all that, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, let's talk about loft. All right, we're talking about loft today, but before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to the hype. Charles Hutcherson does a great job, lots of great videos there, always grinding, new content all the time. Go get some merch. So anyway, talking about loft, how I incorporate it, and when it can best be used to your advantage. Obviously, it's going to be something you practice, but we're going to talk about it. So you notice that I have a little bit of loft pretty much all the time. And you know what? For the most part, I don't even think about when I'm going to loft the ball. It just kind of is part of my natural release. When I apply rotation of the ball, a little bit of loft comes with it. Now, if I'm mindful about it, I can get the ball to set down early. And if I'm mindful about it later in blocks when the lanes get dry, I can apply more loft. So we're going to talk about the thought process a little bit. Now, when the lanes are fresh like they are here with crown jewel pattern, 43 foot, normal house shot, when the lanes are fresh, you typically don't want to use a whole lot of loft. When the lanes are wet dry, you got that crisp back end, you don't want that ball to go sideways off the spot. We're going to talk about that and how loft can actually increase the amount of entry angle and the sharpness off the spot. So we're going to throw a couple shots. We're going to talk about it. I got black hammer here. And this is a very fresh shot, warmed up maybe 3 or 4 shots. But the whole idea here is I'm going to want to get this ball off my hand and roll it into the lane. So what I think you'll notice throughout this whole video is when you roll the ball early, when you set the ball down early, you're going to get that ball to read early. So that is a good thing when the lanes are very oily, or you need to control the pattern when they're very wet dry. So the ball wants to go sideways off the back end, looking to maybe rolling it into the lane a little bit easier to get that ball burning up energy quicker. Let's try that again. First shot out of the gate. You know, we're still getting lined up here. There we go. So nice and easy into the lane, okay? So it creates a smooth roll. So this is with urethane, okay? Now, as the lanes break down, if you're a urethane player or you're in general playing out to start, most people start out and they migrate in. How can you use loft to stay in that same zone? Well, as the lanes break down, the oil in the front is gonna dry up quicker. So the first thing you're gonna notice is that the ball starts to read a little bit earlier. So this is the time where you can make 1 or 2 adjustments. Now in a previous video, I talked about why moving left is always your best option. But sometimes as the lanes break down even more and more and more, you're gonna have to do a combination of both, moving in and maybe increasing loft as well. So we're gonna look at the numbers later. We're gonna throw some resin balls here in a little bit. But if I throw that same shot that I just did on that last one, you notice that ball read quite early, but it's set up in the pocket. What if I just increase the loft just a little bit, keeping everything the same? Will it still go high flush, or what will it do? So that adjustment with just a little bit of loft can get you that extra length you need with a urethane ball to stay in that zone. Sometimes just increasing that speed is not enough because you're still setting it down in the dry. Sometimes you got to loft the ball over the dry, especially where the ball impacts in the lane. That's going to be the first part to get beat up, the impact area of the zone where all the bowling balls are being set in. If you set over that spot in the fresh oil, you'll promote a little bit more skid, a little bit more back end as the lanes break down. So now let's switch to a resin ball. Got the Black Widow 3.0. We're going to try a few shots where we kind of set it down nice and easy and roll it in the lane And then I'm going to throw a couple of shots where I loft it a little bit more, and we're going to take a look at the numbers. I think the main purpose of what we're going to look at is how much more hook power we get and how much more back end we get. We're going to look at the entry angle and the impact angle and the relation of them both. So let's throw a couple shots here with Black Widow 3.0. Just kind of guessing on the line here. Good guess, Nick. Not bad. What a great bowler. So that was rolled into the lane. Kind of easy delivery. So now we're going to just try to loft the ball. We're going to stand in that same spot, and we're going to try to throw the same target. I'm not really going to change anything with rev rate or speed. I'm just going to change the way I direct the ball into the lane. So I'm going to lift up just a little bit more and get a little bit more loft. Both of those balls had crazy force through it. Let's take a look at the numbers on SPECTO. Now that was a great example of loft versus no loft and how it affects the entry angle and the impact angle. Both the increase in impact and entry angle with a little bit of loft, because you delay the hook and you delay the ball burning and losing its axis rotation. So this becomes much more of a factor when you need to create more length and more entry angle as the lanes start to burn up and dry up. The longer the tournament goes with the more people on it, the more important this becomes. So let's try this again with a pearl ball, symmetric this time, endeavor, where I'm going to lay it down nice and easy versus lofting it and creating more entry angle. We're going to take a move in on the lane. These haven't broken down yet, but I'm going to try rolling the ball nice and easy off my hand and into the lane. And then I'm going to create another shot where I loft it. Not a bad shot. Not exactly going coast to coast, but we're going to see what happens now when I attack that same line, but create a little bit more loft. All right, so let's throw one more shot here. All I'm going to change now is I'm going to loft the ball. Whoa, a lot more responsive there. So once again, everything was thrown pretty much on the same line, almost identical speed. All we changed was the loft going in the lane, and look how much more that responded and came off the spot. It saw the dry a lot quicker, and it came off that spot a lot harder. So what have we learned so far? That rolling in the lane creates a smoother overall reaction, easier to control when they're fresh. But as you loft the ball, you delay the hook, you delay the breakdown of the axis rotation and delay the ball from rolling forward. That'll create more entry angle. So you'll notice as I start moving further and further in, chances are I'm probably going to start increasing my loft. The ball speed is going to come down, and the ball loft is going to go up. So let's throw another shot in that same zone. I'm going to make an adjustment off that. I'm going to go for that one 3 and 2 left. So where I was standing left, I'm going to move a little bit more, and I'm going to try to throw that same loft, but just to show the difference in motion and hook potential here. That's what it takes. Got to get inside a little bit to find more oil. Let's use more loft. So that's one of the tricks of the trade. You'll see some pros incorporate it, especially back in the day. And if you watch any qualifying event at, say, like the US Open, flat patterns or long patterns where they start with a lot of surface, break down the middle of the lane, that's the only way to do it. They have to loft. That's the only way to get more oil on the ball to start to delay that hook action. If you have any questions about loft or how to incorporate it in your game, please put it down below. Check out my merch as well as Hype Bowling's merch on his own website. But check out Inside Bowling for BrunsNick merch, all brand new in the link below. So, talk to you guys soon. If this video helped you, please subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.